I live alone at 95 years old. Yes, alone. No husband waiting in the next room. No children arguing in the kitchen. No television shouting in the background. Just me and silence. But before you start feeling sorry for me, let me tell you something most people are too afraid to admit. I'm not lonely. In fact, some days I feel more alive than people half my age. That surprises people. When they hear my age, their faces soften in that polite way people do when they're about to say something sad. Oh, you must get lonely. Or the one I hear most often. That must be hard. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. And if you live long enough, you learn the difference. The mornings. Every morning I wake up around 5, not because I have to, because my body still remembers the rhythm of a lifetime. I sit up slowly, feeling the stiffness in my knees and the quiet creak of bones that have carried me through almost a century. Then I do something simple. I open the window. Fresh morning air fills the room. Birds argue with each other in the trees, like they have important business to settle. And the world reminds me it's still moving, still alive, still here. At 95, every morning feels like a small miracle. Not dramatic, not grand, just another sunrise I get to witness. People think old age is only loss. They're not entirely wrong. When you live long enough, you lose people. Friends disappear one by one, sometimes suddenly, sometimes slowly. And eventually, the phone stops ringing as often. That's the part people talk about. But here's the part they don't. With every loss, something else appears. Clarity, perspective, a strange kind of peace. You start seeing life the way a person on a mountain sees the valley below. All the chaos that once felt huge suddenly looks very small. The secret nobody tells you. When you're young, you think life is about collecting things: money, achievements, possessions, approval. You think happiness is something you build by adding more pieces to your life. But at 95, you discover something unexpected. Happiness isn't built by adding. It's revealed by removing. Removing noise, removing expectations, removing the need to impress anyone. At this age, I no longer care what people think of my furniture, my clothes, or my opinions. And that freedom is priceless. Silence is not the enemy. When I was younger, silence used to scare me. I needed radios, televisions, conversations, anything to fill the empty space. But silence, I discovered, is not empty. It's full of thoughts, memories, understanding. Sometimes I sit in my chair by the window for an hour without saying a word, and in that quiet space, my mind travels through decades. I remember my first job, my wedding day, the smell of rain on summer streets in 1948, the sound of my children laughing when they were small. Those memories visit like old friends, and in silence, they speak louder than any television ever could. The lie society tells about aging. Society treats aging like a tragedy, like the final act of a story nobody wants to watch. Wrinkles become something to hide. Gray hair becomes something to dye. People chase youth like it's the only version of life worth living. But let me tell you something. Youth is loud. Old age is wise. Young people often move fast, but they don't always know where they're going. At 95, I move slowly, but I know exactly where I stand. Living alone isn't what you think. People imagine my life as quiet and empty, but they misunderstand something important. Being alone is not the same as being abandoned. I chose to stay in this house. This little place holds my life inside its walls. Every room carries stories. The kitchen still smells faintly of the bread I used to bake for my family. The hallway still echoes with footsteps that once ran through it. And when sunlight falls through the window in the afternoon, it lights the same floorboards my grandchildren once crawled across. This house is not empty. It's full of time. The gift of outliving fear. One of the greatest surprises about living this long is something nobody prepares you for. You stop being afraid of many things. When you've lived through wars, heartbreak, financial struggles, illness, and loss, you realize something powerful. Most fears are temporary, but the moments you worry about missing, those are permanent. That's why I sit outside when the weather is nice. That's why I still laugh loudly. That's why I eat dessert first sometimes. At 95, you finally understand something simple. Life was never meant to be taken so seriously. The question people always ask. When visitors come, they often ask the same question. Don't you wish you were younger again? They expect me to say yes, but the honest answer surprises them. No, not really. Because youth comes with confusion, pressure, uncertainty. At 95, I finally understand who I am, and that clarity is worth every wrinkle. The truth no one dares to say. Here's the confession people rarely admit. Many people surrounded by family still feel lonely, and many people living alone feel peaceful. Loneliness isn't about the number of people around you. It's about whether you are comfortable with yourself. And that's a lesson most people don't learn until very late in life. Sometimes, too late.